Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin had just dropped down to 3,700. It was sitting right on top of 3,700, trading sideways. And I told you guys yesterday that I thought that very likely, even though the overall trend is definitely down, guys, and looking rather bearish, I told you that in the short term, meaning in the next 12 to 24 hours, I was expecting price to rise back up and come into this zone between about 3,800 and 3,850 right here. There's just a ton of resistance right in this area. We know that because obviously we saw it being unable to break above this zone here. We knew that it was support back here, so this zone obviously was going to act as a very strong resistance, and that's exactly what happened. Price came back up. We did have that bullish divergence I pointed out yesterday, which was one reason why I was expecting price to come back up in the short term. In fact, if we come over here and we look at that, look at the daily chart, just for those that may have missed yesterday's. We did have that bullish divergence where we had price looking down here. We saw price going from over here we saw price going point to point, obviously creating a higher low. Looking at the exact same point here, obviously price dropped down, created a lower low. This being an uptrend. Looking at the bottom here, that was hidden divergence, and in this case that would be hidden bullish divergence, and that led to that spike in price. And what we saw, guys, was, or what we're seeing is price being unable to break above this zone as of yet. Now it is a little bit more bullish than I thought. In fact, I expected price to come up to hit this zone and have a fairly strong rejection right back down, and we have not seen that as of yet, guys. So this is a I don't want to say, well, I mean, obviously that's a bullish sign that's able to hold into this zone here as of now. But I don't want to say that that we're going to continue to stay up here. In fact, I do think there's a good chance that price may come back down, and at least in the short term here, come back down and at least retest 3,700, possibly dropping back down to this zone down here, 36 to 3650. Coming over here and looking at the 4-hour chart, zooming in, we're seeing exactly the opposite from what we saw on that daily chart. And I pointed out yesterday also the oversold RSI on the 4 hours, suggesting a nice little spike, which of course we've seen that now. But looking at this 4-hour RSI, if I blow up price here, we can see if I go from point to point, even with this spike, obviously from this high here to this high from this latest spike here, that is a lower high on this smaller microstructure. And if we look at the exact same points on the RSI, what do we have? Obviously a higher high. Looking at the again, this is on the 4-hour. Looking at the RSI, we also have a higher high. So that again is obviously divergence. There's no question that is divergence, and in this case, this being the overall downtrend that it is, looking up, that is hidden divergence, and in this case that is hidden bearish divergence, and that would suggest that price is going to drop back down here. Now we did have a little bit of a drop here from the high of what was it? It came up here and touched about 38.80 on Coinbase, varying depending on your exchange, but on Coinbase came up to about 38.80 and dropped back down to where we're sitting now at about 38.40. So already dropped down about $40. Could that close that divergence? Yeah, it's possible. Certainly possible. It is a smaller time frame. So as of now, guys, I'm gonna have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out. I'd like to see a retesting of that $3,800 support and see if that support does start holding as of now. One of the reasons, though, that I'm starting to question this, and I'm starting to maybe think this might take another run at this $4,000 to $4,120 support here, is if I come over here and I look at volume, guys. Remember, volume is king. And actually, that reminded me, volume is king. We're sitting at about 10 billion for the day. That's a nice little uptick in volume. And somebody asked me this a couple days ago, but I forgot to address it. I'm always telling you how important volume is. And they started asking me about wash trading. And then, of course, I don't know if you guys are, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Trybe TV. I do some videos over there sometime. Matt over at Trybe TV, a wonderful guy. He put out a video a couple days ago, or maybe a week ago now, I'm not sure, on wash trading, a very short video. I'll put the link in the description section below this video here, but it was a phenomenal short video on explaining what wash trading is. For those for those of you that are unfamiliar, it's basically just fake volume that some exchanges put out there via bots or whatnot. Basically, just fake volume out there to bait people in, to basically bait coins into getting listed on exchanges, and making the exchange look a little more prosperous than it is. And I'm not going to go into that. Matt does a phenomenal job of very, very quickly but concisely explaining what that is. And again, that'll be in the links below this video. So, bottom line to that is, yes, is a lot of that volume that I'm referring to, is a lot of that fake volume? Well, yes. Does that mean that that's completely that is no longer valuable information? No. Why is that? Because this fake volume has been in the market this entire time. This is not, this is nothing new. In other words, this spike in volume here, that's not just wash trading. That's not just fake volume flooding the market. This fake volume has been in here all the way back. So anytime we see a spike in volume, excuse me, that is, that is with the wash trading factored in already. So it is still a nice little spike in volume, but it does still mean the volume is relevant. Does that mean that the overall volume, the actual real volume, is much lower than 10 billion? Yeah, but that's again always been the case. So this is still overall a nice spike in volume. And this is one of the reasons I've told you many times that I need to see daily volume well above, or at or above 10 billion on a consistent basis. By consistent, I mean a week or more, before I'll even start to consider the bottom being in. Until that happens, guys, it's just I'm not convinced. So of course, I need two things. I need to see that spike in volume, and I need to see price start creating higher highs here. I need to see us break up above this $41.20 support that I've been pointing out for so long. So anyway, guys, sorry not to go, and didn't mean to get off on a tangent there. But the bottom line is this: the reason I'm looking at this a little more bullish light than I did yesterday was we not only broke up above into this zone, up above that $3,800 support. Now we still haven't broken above this overall resistance area, but we did break above that $3,800. What would be a resistance area between 3,800 and 3,850. We did break into that zone, and we did not get a strong rejection. And this is backed by a nice increase in volume for the day. So this is really making me think that there's a chance we may be coming back up and testing this 4,000 to 4,120. Now, is that going to break? Overall, I don't think so. Overall, I'm still maintaining my bearish outlook. I do still think that we're going to be coming back down and at least testing 3,600, if not dropping all the way down to this 3,400 to $3,250 support here. In fact, if I zoom out here to the weekly chart, zooming out here to the weekly chart, guys, as I pointed out yesterday, overall, this is looking very much like a bearish pennant. In other words, it's looking like price may end up breaking down. And even in the short term here, if we kind of look at where price is on that pennant, guys, it's just now hitting the top of this ascending resistance line here, or excuse me, descending resistance line here, guys, which we know would suggest that we get a nice little juke, and then price ends up falling back down to at least this $3,600 support, if not down here to about 35.50, somewhere there. Thereabouts. That's a real possibility, if not just completely breaking down altogether. So again, looking at this weekly chart, guys, overall here, just a very, here it is. Here's your daily cure for FOMO. There it is, the extremely bearish pattern that we are still in. I'm going to continue to remind you of that until that pattern is broken. But again, zooming back in here, guys, I do have to say that, the bull inside me, and I am a bull at heart, guys, I want to tell you this thing is going to the moon. I'm not one of these guys that loves to short and is just, eating it up. I will short, but it's not. I'm a bull at heart, guys. I want this thing to take off. Not just because not just for personal reasons. I mean, like I said, I'll make money whichever way price goes here. But most people are not traders. Most people are not day traders. Most people make money when price goes up, and it just that's what I want. I want that. I want that excitement of 2017. I want people to be aware of blockchain, and I'm ready for this thing to change the world. And how better to do that when people start making money? And of course, one thing leads to another. If you want to change the world, man, start by making a few people some money, and the world will spread quickly. So anyway, so looking at this, guys, this would suggest a possible breakdown. But that being said, we are testing that descending resistance line there, guys, and a break above that, would be a temporary bullish. But again, we've done that in the past. We wicked above it, and the bears were able to push it right back down here on the weekly chart. And I would expect that to happen again. That being said, if we can break above this zone here between 4,041.20. If we can break above that with volume and continue to trade above that zone, guys, I'm going to start to get extremely, extremely bullish. Until then, guys, again, I'm temporarily possibly looking at a possible retesting of 4,041.20, but I think overall we're going to be coming back down to these 3,600, possibly even 3,400 or below that. Looking at the our indicators, this again on the weekly. Excuse me, guys. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, now looking at the overall chart here, no one's going to argue this. Obviously, price created a much lower low here, no question about it. Again, this is on the weekly. If we come over here and we look at the weekly MACD, look at the exact same point. What do we have? Obviously, the histogram on the weekly MACD created a higher high. So we have a lower high on price. We have a higher high on the histogram there. That's clear divergence. No one's going to argue this is a downtrend. We're looking at the upside here, so that's going to be hidden divergence. And in this case, unfortunately, this would suggest hidden bearish divergence, and that would suggest a drop in price here. So this is another reason, guys, I'm maintaining my bearish outlook overall. Now, does that have to happen? Absolutely not, guys. This is an extremely manipulated market. There's no question about that. And we also know that any kind of market-moving news could come. I mean, ETF approval, mass adoption by Amazon. Literally anything could happen in this space. And if news like that were to come out, this thing will go to the moon tomorrow. Literally, the whole market would change almost overnight. But until something like that happens, guys, until we get some kind of a catalyst, overall, guys, I mean, I hate to say it, but I do still maintain my bearish outlook. All right, zooming back into the 4-hour chart, guys, and let's looking at a little more short-term movement versus the overall long-term. We have established what appears to be a fairly solid ascending support line here. Obviously, we can see that ascending support line was very, very strong in the past here between about February 14th and February 17th. Then we took off. Price came back down here. Perfect hit off that trend line, right back up, and then we had this break back down, another perfect hit, and this being the third. Obviously, we would watch this established a little bit of ascending support here. We didn't know if that was going to last. Had a second touch here. Okay, it got my attention. Now that we've had this third touch with this drop here, and we've had a nice little bounce off that zone, guys, yeah, I'm paying attention to this ascending support line now. And so this would suggest, guys, again, in the short term, that even if price does come back down, this might not be a bad area for a quick scalp trade. If we do end up coming back down here, depending on where it is when price does, watching this closely, maybe about 3,700 to 3,720, 3,730, looking for a nice bounce off this zone here, and I'd be targeting again maybe 3,850, somewhere in that. You're not gonna get rich off that trade, but we're looking at nice little scalp trades here. Little 1.5%, 2%, even 3% trades, guys. If you can do that a few times a week, count that up times 52 weeks per year. You're going to make a nice little income. So that's a real possibility there, guys. I'm watching that very, very closely. Excuse me, as a possible support if price does end up coming back down. All right, checking longs versus shorts, guys. We've got no movement. Longs basically moving sideways with this last little juke, both up and both down. Looking at shorts basically moving sideways. So in other words, no one's falling for this. The most retail investors are sitting on the sidelines, watching and waiting to see what price is going to do, and that's a good sign. That is a good sign. We used to have back in the beginning of 2018 when everybody was losing their shirt, price was collapsing. Continued all the way out throughout 2018. We had a lot of guppies in the market. We're not seeing that now, guys, and this is a good, healthy sign that nobody is chasing price at this point. This is a very, very healthy sign, and this is a sign that maybe the bottom is near. We might have to have one more dump, but I do think there's a good chance that the bottom is near, guys. So again, I view this as a very, very healthy sign. Let's come over here and look at our moving averages, exponential moving averages. This is on the 4-hour chart. Oh, There we go. This is on the 4-hour chart, guys. We can see price came back down here, hit these bottom Bollinger Bands just outside, and then we had this nice little break right back up, ignored the 50-day moving average, found resistance right on top of the upper Bollinger Band on the 4-hour chart, and we're sitting above the 50-day moving average on the 4-hour. That's a bullish sign short term. Looking at just based on that, I don't know that it is on based on some other things, but short term, guys, that does bode well. Looking at the daily, zooming out on the daily chart here, we have broken back above this 21-day EMA. I told you yesterday we had broken below the 21-day EMA, and what do I always tell you on the daily chart, guys? That is an extremely relevant EMA to keep an eye on. It usually will signal a short-term change in momentum. And I always tell you we have to have a decisive break. Now we broke yesterday; it even closed below. But what do I always tell you by decisive? I need a daily candle to both open and close below that 21-day EMA. We did not have that. So we did not have confirmation, even though we had a threaten of a price dumping here. We did not have that confirmation with a daily candle both opening and closing. Not yet. Now that could happen. This candle could end up collapsing below here, and if we have obviously it opened below, and if this candle closes below the 21-day EMA, that'll be confirmation. But as of right now, guys, we have not seen it. We're back above that 21-day EMA. So as of right now, we've still had no decisive break. And what I'm liking about this latest move here too, guys, is we were able to pretty well break up above this 8-day EMA, which we haven't been really above for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost a week. No, slight breaks above, but nowhere not really for almost about a week before, since we've had really decisively it's been even longer than that. So I'm watching this closely. If the daily candle can close above this 8-day EMA, guys, that would be a very, very big sign of strength in my opinion, and certainly we need to maintain above the 21-day EMA if the bulls are going to have any shot at retesting the top of this resistance area at 4,000 to 4,120. All right, guys, went a little bit longer than I thought I would today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin, signing out.